Hello, I'm Sara Turnquist, and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to delve into a question I often get. How or why did the Greeks rule Egypt? And similarly, was Cleopatra Egyptian or Greek? Well, first of all, to answer this question, we need to tick back a little bit into the history of Greece and Egypt. History tells us that Greeks were in Egypt as early as the 7th century BC. The Greek historian Herodotus wrote in the 5th century BC on a visit to ancient Egypt, where he documented and claimed that Greeks were one of the first foreigners to live there in ancient Egypt. Alexander the Great gained control of Egypt in 332 BC as part of one of his earliest conquests. He respected the religion in place in Egypt and was declared pharaoh of the land. He established the great city of Alexandria and set about somewhat of a template for how future rulers would treat that position of pharaoh, with this not only tolerance but a respect of the religion that was practiced in Egypt. And so this led to somewhat of a cultural fusion. When Alexander the Great died, his generals kind of just took control of the areas where they were. And Ptolemy the First was there in Egypt, and so he became the first in the Ptolemaic dynasty of Greek rulers in Egypt. The Ptolemies ruled Egypt for nearly 3 centuries after that. So here were these Hellenistic monarchs in the mold of Alexander the Great, but they took on the title and the position of pharaoh. So Ptolemy I Soter, which means savior, took over this area of Alexander the Great's empire, Egypt. He installed himself as pharaoh, crowned himself, and secured control over Egypt. Ptolemy followed Alexander's template of religious tolerance and blending with the culture while he tried to maintain their Greek heritage. He found it beneficial to adapt to this established older culture already existing in Egypt. He set up a new capital in Alexandria, and it became the center of the Hellenistic world. The Lighthouse of Alexandria, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, was built during this time. After Ptolemy I Soter's death, there were 14 successive Ptolemies that followed him. This ruler worship of the pharaoh of Egypt was really seen more in Upper Egypt. Along the coast, there was greater influence of the Hellenistic culture. And they didn't see the pharaoh so much as a god king, but the Greeks were still encouraged to treat the royalty as divinity. And so this opened up an exchange of artistic, social, religious ideas between the Greek and Egyptian civilizations. It was during the reign of Ptolemy II Philadelphus that the Library of Alexandria became the largest library in the world, until it was destroyed. And this is the period that I really honed in on for my novel, The General's Wife. Not only because of this great exchange of culture that was happening at this time, it was during this time period that the Septuagint translation was done at the Library of Alexandria. So the Ptolemaic reign again began with Ptolemy I and ended with Cleopatra, where she ruled Egypt until she took her own life in 30 BC, and then the Romans took over. So this is a really interesting time period. And again, as the question stated, the Greeks did rule Egypt, but their goal was to see the cultures blending, and their goal was to be pharaohs and be in the style of the Egyptian monarchs, even while they were Greek, and again, preserving their own culture. If you like this idea of a love story paired with this period in history or another period of history, please tune in for more videos. I'll be discussing lots of things about the historical context of different books and answering any questions that you may have about these periods. So please feel free to submit questions in the comments and hit the like button. But don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell before you go. I'll see you next time.